a young family is tormented by paranormal activity in their new home. So they seek out real-life ghost hunters to exorcise the demons.
You have a lot of spirits in here, but there's one that I'm most worried about because it is so hateful.
But their investigation becomes a terrifying nightmare in The Conjuring.
Hi, I'm Kevin.
Hi, I'm Zorianna.
And I'm Sean, and we're going to talk about the new horror film, The Conjuring. We've all just seen it. Zorianna, why don't you start?
So on the surface, it appears to be like your standard Hollywood horror film, but what amps it up a notch is the fact that it's actually based on a true story encountered by real-life Ghostbusters Ed and Lorraine Warren. And the Warrens are, of course, most famous for the case that they worked on, which became the Amityville Horror. What I loved about this film was that in most horror films, the focus is just on the family that's being terrorized.
Right.
But here, we actually learn an awful lot about the Warrens. We get equal amount of time between the two families.
Well, we've been called ghost hunters, paranormal researchers.
But we prefer to be known simply as Ed and Lorraine Warren.
I love horror films, and, you know, a door slamming will get me every single time. And this is full of cliches. I mean, there's, you know, whispering and long, dark corridors and people creeping around.
Basements that you're not supposed to go down
and pianos tinkling, but every single time it works.
It has this old-fashioned sensibility to it in the best way possible. I mean, nowadays it seems like in order to scare people, we have to hack off limbs every other minute. And this movie really knows that, no, it's about the build-up. It's about the tension. And just because it's been done 1,000 times before, well, it's been done 1,000 times before because it works.
What elevates the quality of this film is the caliber of the cast. We have someone like Vera Farmiga, who's an Oscar nominee. We have Patrick Wilson, very respected actor. And of course, Lili Taylor, who's so underrated and so terrific in this film. Even the kids.
Oh my God. It's standing right behind you.
I think when you get these type of actors who are true thespians and place them in a horror film, it just really takes it up to a whole other level.
Lili Taylor gets the meatiest role here. She goes from this, you know, loving mother to a frightened matriarch to something else, and she really nails it.
Her acting is really incredible when she starts to embody all this stuff. And you could tell that it was not an easy shoot for her. It was probably very difficult during those scenes, but she just nails them and really does a spectacular job.
Because it could have been cheesy and silly, but it's not.
Yes, if anything, she steals the film.
Yeah.
Who's ever down there? I'm gonna lock you in now!
James Wan's attraction to this project was that it's based on a true story. He made Saw and Insidious, which were fictionalized, but he wanted to do this one. If I have one criticism, it's that I feel that James Wan, the director, is kind of recycling the same things he did with Insidious. That was his last picture, and here in this picture, it almost seems like he's making the same picture.
You mean like recycling Patrick Wilson?
Well, he recycles Patrick Wilson, but I mean, it's also, that story is very similar to this one in the fact that you've got a small family. I mean, it's in present day, but they're also being haunted by this spirit or this entity or something. So, and a lot of the scares are done in the exact same way in Insidious, but I enjoyed both movies. It's not necessarily a bad thing that he's doing these things that work.
But this is based on a true story.
Based on a true story.
I do feel like he wants to get to a point where he makes the classic horror film. Because, you know, he is a little bit over the top, let's just say. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of subtlety. But he's better now. Like, Insidious was kind of like slamming you over the head. It totally worked for me. But The Conjuring, you know, there was a lot of silence, and he did kind of do the slow build.
It's not about so much what pops out at you. That's what this film does very well. It's not, you know, all these scares are not just this ominous note on the piano while something comes out of the darkness to grab you. I mean, it really is about what's in the shadows and misdirection and what maybe over here is actually not over here, it's over here, and they build that up extremely well.
There's very little gore in this film, very little CGI. The scares come from things that are set up and then paid off later. In particular, there's a scene at the beginning, and you think it's done and over with, and lo and behold, something from that scene shows up later in the end, and it really freaks you out. And it's those types of setups and payoffs that really make the film scary.
The Conjuring isn't going to rewrite the modern American horror film, but it gets one thing right. It makes scary movies fun again. And I say see it.
The Conjuring is a great old-fashioned horror film delivered with sophistication and respect for the genre. See it.
The Conjuring is a virtually bloodless, low body count affair that proves suspense is always better than hacking off limbs. See it. Cheers.
Cheers. Ooh.
Thank you. Thank you.